everyone. So I had planned to do a live stream where I would launch this ebook officially, but I had a predicament. First of all, Google Chrome crashed, and then my network disconnected, and then my computer crashed. So I couldn't really do all that. So what I decided to do is I'm recording myself after the fact, and then I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and I'm going to point out all the relevant links that you will need. So first of all, if you head over to gumroad.com/TsbSankara, I'm going to leave all these links in the description, so there's no need to remember all of them. They're going to be at the top of the description so that you can easily find them. This is my ebook. It's currently at $5.99. So once you click this, and you can just say buy now, or rather add to cart, and it will take you to a checkout form where you can do all that good stuff, right? So this is the checkout form that you'll get, and then you can just say checkout and then enter the relevant details, and then once you pay this, then it will be delivered to you in your email, the email that you're going to enter here in PDF form. And then after the launch, I wanted to do a front-end mentor challenge, which I'm actually going to do in this video. So I'm going to do it in this video, and I also wanted to give out a coupon code for my Udemy course. So if you head over to udemy.com and then search for TsbSankara, then you'll find the course that I created on Udemy. This is the course right here. It's called Learn Modern Web Development from Scratch, HTML and CSS. Now, if you click this, the coupon code that you can enter inside here so that you get 50% discount is, you can just say apply coupon right here. The coupon code is TsbSankara. So basically my social media name, right? So I'm going to say apply, and then it should apply like that, and you'll find that the course is now 50% off at $9.99. So I really appreciate if you buy this course using the coupon code. It really helps me out. It really helps me out. So I advise you to do that as well. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this as well. Another way that you can get my book is by going to my website, tsbsankara.co.ke/books, or you can just go to the actual website and then going to the books tab, which will give you this, or you can just scroll down and you will find this. And once you say buy here, then it will open up a Gumroad form for you right inside the website, and you can just say buy this, and it will open for you a checkout form, and everything looks wonderful. So once you do this, then what I want to do is now open up Frontend Mentor, and the challenge that we're going to be doing today is called Huddle landing page with single introductory section. So it's a very easy challenge, and I chose this challenge because it's actually very easy, and I wanted it just to just lengthen the live stream a bit, because it's been a while since I've done a live stream. So you can head over to frontendmentor.io/challenges and just scroll to the bottom, because this is the third challenge from the bottom, and then you can just say view challenge. I'm going to say start challenge, and then say get started, and then you can say download starter. Now I'm not going to download this starter because I already have it. I already downloaded it. So once you download this, it is going to be a downloads folder, and if I go to my downloads folder, then you'll find that this is the file that it downloads for me, and then this is the extracted one. Okay, so this is the extracted one. So I'm just going to open this up with the Visual Studio Code like so. And now one thing that I forgot to mention is that we're going to be building this homepage using NextJs, because NextJs is really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my terminal, because I want to use NextJs, and I'm going to say in my terminal, I'm going to navigate into the desktop, and then in the desktop, let me open this wider, and I'm going to say npx create next app, now no longer React app. I'm going to say create next app, and I'm going to call it Huddle like that. Yes, I'm going to say code Huddle like that, which will open up the Huddle folder in Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to close this, and this is our folder. Now the first thing that I want to do is, because I don't want to keep on switching all of this, what I want to do is just grab this and this and this and this, and then these two files except the git ignore. So I'm going to copy this, and then right inside here, I'm just going to paste them in, right? So I'm going to paste them in, and then notice how this is a copy readme of this. So I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete this one, so that the readme that we have inside here is actually the one from Frontend Mentor, and I'm going to rename this to just readme like that. Okay, so once I do that, then what I want to do is go inside this git ignore and just copy everything, and then go inside my Next.js git ignore, and at the bottom I'm going to paste this in, and then I'm going to change this to line 40, and then change this to line 46, and change this to 47. Okay, now if you follow the live stream, you'll notice that we did a couple of these steps and we moved forward, but because everything crashed, and I wasn't actually recording. So what I want to do is I'm just going, what I'm doing in this video is that I'm just starting all over again so that we can be on the same page. So I can close this down now that we are done with it. And then the difference with Next.js from React is that instead of saying npm start in order to start our development server, then we are going to say npm run dev, which is the command next dev, which will start our dev server for us. So I'm going to open up my terminal like so, my integrated terminal, and I'm going to say npm run dev. But remember, all of this is going to run on localhost 3000, as you can see. So I'm going to open this up, and it is open on localhost 3000. So I'm going to place this to the right so that I can place my code editor to the left. Looking wonderful. And let's just begin a bit of cleanup. And actually, before I do the cleanup, let's grab this images folder, just copy this and paste them inside the public folder, because the public folder is where all our images are going to live. And you can see welcome to Next.js, so our app is running. And then I'm going to delete this images folder from the top, and then right away let me go inside my index.js. Where is it? Inside pages, I have an index.js file. And then what I want to do inside this index.js is that I want to change this favicon first so that it uses the favicon from Frontend mentor. So I'm going to go inside here and change it to favicon dash 32 by 32.png. And remember that this should be coming from the /images folder. So /images like that, because we have placed it inside public and then inside images, so that when I save this, then it should work like so. So that, as you can see now, it says we are using the favicon from Frontend mentor. And then let me just close this side, and yeah, I can close this as well. We don't need that. And then for the title, let me just change the title and just say Huddle landing page with single introductory section, like so, which will not change the title of our application to whatever it is that we have inside here. So that's a bit of a difference with Next.js, where we place everything that is in the head of our application. We are going to place it inside this head component, which is coming from next/head, and as you can see, looking very nice. And then what I want to do now is just clear everything below this main, clear everything all the way to the footer. So I'm going to remove all that so that it's going to have a blank page. Now in this blank page, what I want to do first of all is I'm going to create a components folder inside here. I'm going to create a components folder, and inside this folder I'm going to create a logo.js, which is, as you can tell, it's going to house our logo. So I'm going to say RAFCE like so, and then return a fragment. And then inside here I'm going to turn a div, and this div is going to have an image, and the image, the source for this is going to be /images/logo.svg, because it's inside the public folder and it's inside the images folder. So that when I save this and then I go into my index.js, and then right below the head I'm going to render my logo like that. And as you can see, it gives me the option to auto import it, so that it's going to be auto imported at the top. And once I save this and that reloads, then we should see something on the screen, but nothing happens. Let me just confirm this. Let's check what's wrong. Let's see. Our logo isn't appearing. Our logo isn't appearing. Let me see. Let me go back to logo.js. Let me return an h1 below this, an h1 that says something, and our h1 is here. Okay, so the reason for this is because the reason it's appearing here is because there are some styles that have been applied inside here, so that when I remove this, then it should go to the top like so. And as you can see, it's not completely at the top because this, our image, which is coming from the logo, is taking up this space, so that if I try to select it, as you can see, our image is now working. Okay, so let me just go into my styles, folder, and into my home.module.css, and then let me just remove everything inside here. Actually, let me just remove everything, save that, which will reset this a bit, or it should at least. It doesn't. Let me go into my globals.css, and then let me grab this from here and then place them below this, move this to the top like so, which will now reset everything, looking amazing. Okay, so we're going to play around with the fonts a bit, and actually let me show you how we're going to do that. In our standard markdown file, we have the Poppins font that we need to get from Google Fonts, and then the Open Sans font as well. So let's grab the Poppins font first of all. Weights 400 and 600. Let's open this up on a bigger screen. Okay, and we're saying we want the 400 and the 600, so the regular 400 and then the regular 600 semi-bold, and then this is just going to live there. And then I'm going to go back to the Google font, and we're looking for a font called Open Sans, like so. Grab this, and we want the 400 font, so the regular 400, grab that, which will be pasted inside here. So we're grabbing the Open Sans as well as the Poppins font. So I'm just going to grab this link tag like so, and remember how we place this inside our head component, which contains all the metadata for our website. So I'm just going to place this above like that, and actually let me move this up. And then the reason why we have this error is because we don't have a forward slash here, and that should fix it, but it doesn't. Wait a minute, did I copy this wrongly? Let me see. Did I copy that wrongly? Paste it inside here, and there should be this link tag should be there, and there we go. Really? Paste that there as well. So we are missing a forward slash here as well. So that once I save this, I can go into my CSS folder, into my global CSS, and then I want to change this font family for the body. So the body is going to be using a font family of Open Sans with a fallback of sans serif, and then the paragraph. Wait, how is it structured? Let me go into the designs. Let me check the desktop design. Let's see. So this is the Poppins font for the header. Okay, and then the Open Sans is the paragraph only. So the header and the button have the Poppins font on them. So let's do that. I can go inside here, and I can say for the button as well. And then below this, I'm going to place a paragraph that says font family, and set this to oh wait, I did that wrongly. This should be Open Sans with a fallback of sans serif, and then this should be Poppins, like so. And I said that's not really correct as well. That's not really correct as well. Let's say the H1, we're only going to have one H1, and then the button, like so, and then just grab this and move it downwards, and this should be looking fine, so that I can remove this, and there we go. So let's save this. Let's see how this looks, and you can see now this is an H1 that it has the Poppins font applied on it. So let's move this back to the right, move this back to the left, and let's begin our mobile design first. Our mobile design. So our mobile design, we already have the Huddle logo appearing somewhere at the top. Now we need to add the showcase, and then this. So let's create a showcase component. So I'm going to create a component called showcase.js. I'm going to say array_fce, like so, return a fragment, and then remember that we're going to be styling this manually. We're not going to be using tailwind CSS. So I'm going to say import styles. So we're going to be importing our style sheet, and this is coming from /styles/home.module.css. And then inside here, we're going to return a section, and this section is going to have it's going to have a div, and this first div is going to have two divs actually. This first div is going to have an image, and the path for this, the source for this, is going to be /images folder, and then inside the images folder we have what's it called? We have BG mobile. First of all, we're going to add a BG mobile, but we're not okay. I'm going to add that after I add this illustration. I think this is the illustration, so it's called illustration-mockups.svg, like so. And then below this, we're going to have another div with an H1 that says what? I'm going to go into my index.html so that I can just copy and paste it. So the H1 says this, copy this and paste it inside here. And then below this, we have a paragraph that says this. So just copy this and paste it inside here. And then below this, we have a button that says, how is it? It's called a button with a class of btn. I'm going to give it a class of btn. that says register now, like so. So let me save this and let's see what we have on the screen. Nothing, of course, because we need to import this inside our index.js. Just render it below the logo and it's called showcase. Auto import it like so. And we have our image and we have the text appearing. As you can see, it auto imports it at the top as well. And then I'm going to create another component called footer.js. So footer.js is going to have our what's it called, our social media icons. So basically these three items, and I've just remembered that we need to install React icons for this. I could use Font Awesome for this, but I don't really want to. So I'm going to say npm install -- save, and it's called React icons. So let that install, and then inside footer.js I'm going to import the icons that we need. So I'm going to say import, and then they're named imports. The first one is called FA Facebook, the second one is called FA Instagram, the third one is called FA Twitter, and these are coming from React icons, and they're coming from the Font Awesome library, like so. And then inside here I'm going to return a fragment and then a footer element, a footer HTML5 element, so footer, like so. And then inside this footer I'm going to return an unordered list with 3 list items, and these list items are going to be buttons. Now I'm choosing buttons because if I place them to be links, they're not really going anywhere, and React throws us a kind of warning. I don't know whether NextJs throws us the same warning, but I'm just going to use buttons to be on the safe side. And then the first one is going to be rendering FA Facebook. So remember that this is a React component, that's why we need the angle brackets inside here. And then the second one is called FA Twitter, like so. And then finally the final one is called FA Instagram, like so. And then we need to render this inside the index.js. So right below this I'm just going to render the footer, which gives you the option to auto import it, like so. And we should see footer. Let me restructure this, push this down, and there we have it. So we should now see footer at the bottom right there containing our buttons. So let's style out these buttons. I'm going to go inside my my style sheet, which is the home.module.css. okay, and then inside here, actually I need to import that inside my footer as well. Let me import styles from home, from /styles, and it's called home.module.css. So now let's see, inside home module.css, what's the first thing that we need to do? Obviously I want to reset this image so that it doesn't go all the way and introduce this scroll bar. So what I want to do is first of all, let me remove this text, remove this h1. It's not a good idea to have 2 h1s on the same page, by the way. And then inside this home module.css, what I want to do is I want to go inside my index.js first of all. And then in index.js, I want this main div, right? This div that houses all my components. I want this to have a class of container. So I'm going to give this a class name of styles.container, styles.container. And this, we are going to target this .container in our home.module.css, which we have imported at the top. So I'm going to say .container, right? And I'm going to give this a background color, and this background color is coming from our style guard markdown file. Now that we're done with the index.html, I can actually delete it. We no longer need it. So inside my style guard markdown file, we need to get what's that color? This color called violet. We're going to copy this and then just paste it inside here, like so. We should now change the color of my background like that. And then let me reset this image. So I'm going to go inside here, just reset the images. And actually, you know what? It would probably be a good idea to place this inside the global CSS, just in case you want to add more pages so that you don't have to keep adding them to every module CSS file that you have. So I'm going to say for all the images, I want each of them to have a max width of 100%, which will now reset it, as you can see, looking amazing. And then once we do that, then as you can see now the logo appears because it was white. Now what I want to do is inside this, let me see if I can go into this logo and give this div a class name of styles.logo. Remember, now we need to import the styles inside here, styles.logo. So we need to import our styles. So I'm going to say import styles from dot forward slash styles forward slash home dot module dot css, like so. And then here target the class of logo and just say the width for this should be, actually this might not work. This might not, okay, it does, never mind. It does work. So let's say this width should be 100%, 100 pixels, sorry. Actually, you know what? Let's say 300. 300 pixels looks fine. Let's see if 250 will be just a bit smaller, just a bit smaller. And then for the container, I want to have padding all around. Is that a good idea? Is that a good idea? If I add padding on the container, then all of this will push inwards. Let me just say that padding 20 pixels. Oh, okay, it doesn't. That looks fine. Let me just target all the unordered lists first of all. I've just noticed this. I need to remove this bullet, so I'm going to say list style type, set this to none. It's not pure, really. Let me grab this, remove it from here. Let me go inside my my globals.css and just paste it below this, and reload it, and should be fine. There we go, globals.css. And then actually, let me increase this padding to 30 pixels. Okay, that once you have 30 pixels, then I'm going to go back to the logo and add a margin bottom. Margin bottom for this should be 30 pixels as well. Push it downwards. Let me see how this looks. Let's see how this looks. This is quite a lot more margin, and this is even smaller. So let's correct that. Let's say this should be 50 or 80 pixels. Let's reduce this to 150. Let's see how this looks. Let's say 180. Okay, 150 should be better. Reduce this to around 60 pixels. Okay. And I've just noticed that we need to add a background image. We need to add this background pattern, as you can see, the stars and the squares and these lines. So let's do that right away. Let's go back to our showcase, and then above this, I'm going to introduce another div, and this div is going to have a picture tag. Right now, this picture tag is very interesting because you can add a source inside here that takes in media queries. So you can define what type of picture you want when a certain width is exceeded, right? So I'm going to say here, when the width is greater than 375 pixels, then I want the image that appears here to be coming from /images, and it's called bgdesktop.svg. And then the thing with this is that we need to specify a default image tag, which means that when the width is lesser than 375 pixels, then I want this to be the fallback. So inside here, I'm going to say this is coming from /images /bg-mobile.svg. And once I save this, then it should appear at the top like so. And notice how looking fantastic. Okay, notice how this appears, right? Let me just increase this to 760 pixels so that you know the difference in the pictures. So this is a smaller picture, right? Would you look at that? It's a smaller picture. And then when I get to 716 pixels, then the picture should change. Look at that right there. Notice that. So you can already add media queries without having to actually go into your CSS file and specifying the background images for every single media query, and which just becomes annoying. And then let me just do this once. I'm going to add here a class name of styles.showcase, right? And then inside this div that has our background image, I'm going to give this a class name of styles.bg, like so. And then inside this div with the class of that has our image illustration, actually don't need to target that all that much. But what I can do is we can style all of this out without having to add a class name on each one of them, and actually that is fine. So I'm going to save this, and what I'm going to do is something breaks styles. This should be styles, and they're looking amazing. And that's the thing about I like about NextJs. Their error handling, their error reporting rather, is actually very, very nice. So let's go back into our home module.css. Let's target the class of bg, which has a background image, and I'm going to say position this as absolute, like so, which will take it out of the normal flow of the web page. And then inside here, I'm going to say position this as relative, like so. and then I'm going to go here and say to the top of 0 and to let's say, how do you say actually this should be fine because this is targeting for widths of 375 pixels and below, so this should be fine. And actually what I wanted to do is I wanted to change this to back to 375, then it doesn't mess us up. Okay, so that this now appears, so that's looking okay, Now what I want to do is I want this image to be on the back, right? So I'm going to say z index, set this to -1, which takes it out of the normal flow, which is not what I expected. What I wanted actually, let's say z index for this should be 10, and there we have it. Look at that, looking amazing. So the image goes behind our header, our logo rather, and then it also goes behind this illustration just by playing around with the z index right there. And actually I think I can remove this and it should still work fine, but it doesn't. Okay, so let's just say z index -1. Let's not break everything. And then what I'm going to do is now let's target this h1. So I'm going to go inside the container, let's target the h1 and actually the paragraph as well. So I'm going to say the dot container, and I want to target the paragraph and say the text color for this should be white, like so. And then now let's just target the container, and wait a minute, does the paragraph actually have a text color of white? Is it completely white or is it gray? Okay, it's white. Let me stop overreacting. Okay, so let's say here text align center. Why these shortcuts aren't working today? Text align center like that, and then now let's target the h1 alone, and then I'm going to say margin dash bottom, set this to around 20 pixels. Let's say 10 pixels. How close is this? It's really close, around, let's say 15 pixels. 15 pixels should be fine. And then let's target the container paragraph. So container paragraph, and I'm going to increase the line height for this. So increase the line height for this to 1.6, space it up just a bit, and then say margin dash bottom, set this to 20 pixels. Let's say 30. Let's say 30 pixels, like so. Let's reduce the font size to around 15 pixels for smaller screens, like so. Bring this to the top. Okay, that's almost looking fine. Let's add a margin on the top of this header. So I'm going to say margin dash top, set this to 20 pixels. Let's say 30 pixels. Let me see how it looks. There's quite a bit of margin inside here, so let's even say 50 pixels. Quite a bit of margin, right? And now it introduces a scroll bar, but that's okay. And then let's see where this button is positioned. It's also to the center. So let's go inside the container button. So the container, and target the class of btn for our button. I don't want to target the actual button element, because remember that our social media icons are also buttons, but they are styled differently from this, right? So I'm going to say inside here, I'm going to say background color, change this to white, and then the text color, I'm so used to tailing CSS. So the text color for this should be, let's see, should be pinkish, or is this still the purple? It's still the purple. Okay, so let's just say HSL, which will give us this option, like so. Does it work? Border radius, let's say border radius for this to be 30 pixels. This isn't working. Why isn't it working? Because this is the, wait a minute, this is the showcase, this is the showcase btn. Let's go back inside here, change this to showcase. What? Showcase btn. Okay, you know what, this is styles.btn. styles.btn. So okay, so there you go. Now the styles apply, and then I've just realized that this should also be showcased for each one of this. Let me just grab them, except this one. Grab this, and this, change this to showcase as well. Showcase, like so. And then let's go inside the btn once again. Add padding here of 10 pixels in the top and bottom, and 40 pixels on the left and right. Make it bigger, and then remove this border, as you can see, or rather than removing the border, Let's add a border of white. So I'm going to say border 2 pixels, solid and white, like that. And then I'm going to add a box shadow here of 0, 5 pixels, 10 pixels, and RGBA 000. Actually, you know what, instead of RGBA should be fine. It's actually the best. So RGBA 00 and 0.5. Okay, so that there's a slight box shadow. Let's reduce this to 1.5, 0.15, let's say 0.2. Let's increase this to 10 pixels and increase this to 20. And there we go. So it's very, very slight, like so. And then now we need this to position to the center. But if I just say text align center, then it won't work because this is an inline element. Instead, I can say display block and then to text align center, which should work, but it doesn't. Instead of text align center here, let's say margin of auto. We should now position it to the center like so. But then I want a margin on the bottom just so that it can push away from this. So let's say instead of auto, I'm going to say 0 on the top and bottom, auto on the left and right, and 30 pixels on the bottom, like so. And then let's target the footer. Now I can go inside my footer component, right? And I didn't give this a class, so let me give this a class name of styles.footer, right? And then inside here, I'm going to target the footer and target the ULs, the LIs, and the buttons like that. And I'm going to say background color, set this to transparent, right? Save that, see how that looks. Okay. And then we want the text color to be white, right? We want to add some padding of probably around 5 pixels all around, so that looks. And instead of 5 pixels all around, let's say 5 pixels and 7 pixels on the left and right. Let's say 8 pixels. Let's see how this looks. I want it to be around a square so that when I go here and say border radius, set this to 50%, then it should be completely rounded, almost. Let's say 8 pixels on the top, 8 pixels on the right, 5 pixels on the bottom, and 8 pixels on the left as well. So this is already covered here. So let's save this. Let's see how this looks. Almost. Let's say 10 pixels. 10 pixels. This, the icons here still don't look all that centered to me, but let's just increase their font size first of all. So font size, increase this to around 16 pixels. Let's see how this looks. 16 pixels. Now with the border, let's change the border to 1 pixel, solid and white. And there we go. And then finally, now I want to go inside this UL, right? So I'm going to target this UL and I'm going to say display flex, align intent center, and justify content to the center, which now put to the center like that. And then I want to go into the list items so that I can add some margin of 0 on the top and bottom and 10 pixels on the left and right, which will now separate them out like so. Now on the hover, I want this cursor to be a pointer. So let's fix that by saying right inside here and saying cursor pointer, like so, looking amazing. And then now what I want to do is I also want the cursor pointer on this button. So let's do that, and let's do that inside here where I'm going to say cursor pointer. But then I also want a kind of hover effect on this button. So I'm going to copy this down, place a colon, and target the hover state. And I'm going to say the background color for this should be transparent, like so. And then let's add a transition so that it doesn't just pop in. So I'm going to say transition. We're going to be transitioning the background color by 0.4 seconds so that this happens. And we need to change the text color here. So let's change this color to white. And look at that, looking amazing. That's looking amazing. It actually looks like you can do something, but you can't technically do nothing. So let's say these images, these icons are a bit too big for me. So let's just fix them a bit. Let's say padding of 6 here, reduce this to 8, reduce this to 3. Like so. Let's say 7 on this. Okay, let's say 8 on this. And then let's say 10 on this. Okay, that's looking much better. This is actually looking much better. So this is it for the mobile design actually. Now all you need to do is just scale it up. And remember how we scaled up on bigger screens, as you can see, because this will scale up our background image. As you can see, it will scale up. But for bigger screens, I want this to be 100 viewport heights, and then I want this to come to the I want this and our text here to be a grid. So let's fix that, and I can just go below this, add a media query. I'm going to say at media, let's say 992 pixels, mean width of 992 pixels. Then I want to target the showcase class, and this showcase class is going to say display grid. And really, is there no showcase class? This is the styles.showcase, right? This is okay. You know what? I want this and this. So let me give these two divs. Let me give this a class name of, let's say, styles.overlay, and then paste this in. So that now let me type the overlay. And then we can now place these two divs inside. So right inside here, let's target the overlay like so. Really? Okay, this, you know what? Sometimes I feel stupid, really. Let's say grid template columns and say repeat 2 times and 1 fractional. I forgot for a split second that display grid doesn't really work the same way as display flex. You actually have to specify this when you are using display grid, so that you will actually see some effect on the screen. But when I save this, then this should now grid like so. And then, like I said, I now want this to be 100 viewport height so that this doesn't break apart. So I'm going to say for the showcase, I want to target, is it the showcase? No, the container. I want to target the container and set this to a fixed height of 100 viewport heights. Like so, as you can see, looking amazing. And then I don't want this kind of mini scrolling, as you can see right there, right? So what I want to do is I want to grab, I want to specify that the overlay, wait, why is there some mini scrolling, by the way? I don't really know why there's this mini scrolling, but what I want to do is right inside here, I'm going to say overflow and set this to hidden. Like so. So now the scroll bar is hidden and you can no longer scroll on this. And then let's grab this and place it to the right. Let's grab the footer. The footer, is it the footer ULs? And say justify content. Yes, now instead of saying to the center, really, instead of saying to the center, let's say to the flex end. We should now take it to the right, looking amazing. And then let's say place, is it place item center, which will now bring this down. Let's see how the desktop design looks. And now I can place this full screen. I can close this. And then I can go into my desktop design. And it's not really to the center. Not really to the center. Let's just deal with this. Let's just scale them up first of all. So I can go back into my module right inside here. And then let me target the showcase. Actually, let me target the showcase, the H1. Increase the font size to 46 pixels. Right, amazing. And then remember how we targeted the H1 and the paragraph. So target the H1 and then target the showcase, target the paragraph once again, and say text align to the left instead of to the center. Bring them back like that. Okay, and then increase the size of this, right? Increase the size of this. So let's target the showcase paragraph. So for the showcase paragraph, and then let's say increase the font size for this to 18 pixels. Right now, in case you're wondering why I'm not targeting the overlay showcase H1, it's because when you're adding media queries, you always have to target the elements the same way that you targeted them above. Otherwise they don't really work because it looks like you're targeting a different element. Okay, and then now we need this button to go to the left, right? So how do you do that? We can just target the showcase, target the btn class, and remember how you set margin to auto. Now we can just say margin and set it to 0, which now bring it back like so. Looking amazing. Okay, now what do we need? Let me just check how these are positioned. In the desktop, they're almost to the bottom right. So let's see how we can do that. We can add some margin on the top, but you know what, this is really probably dependent with the type of screen that you have. So let me see if I can add a media query for that. Let me say at media, and I'm going to target the mean width of 992 pixels. And then I'm also targeting a mean height, let's say mean height of 900 pixels, right? Actually, not 900, let's say 800 pixels, so that I can go into the dot footer UL, and then I can add a margin on the top, and add this margin on the top to around, let's say 100 pixels. Let's see if it will break, and look at that. So this is how you can actually change media query. So what we're saying basically here is that only apply these styles when the mean width of the device is greater than 992 pixels, and the mean height of the device is 900 pixels as well. So that's why this works, and it pushes it to the bottom right. So that's how you can actually tailor your styles, or tailor your website to fit the styles of, everything that you're targeting, or every device with, basically. And then now what we need to do is, I want to grab this and increase the size of it. So above this, I'm going to target the logo, increase the width for this to around 300 pixels, or rather 400. 300 is fine. 300 is looking amazing. But then again, notice how this breaks, so we need to just readjust it a bit. Always keep an eye on that when you're adding media queries. You always need to keep an eye on that, so that you can always readjust things on the fly. That's too much. Let's say 60. Okay, 60 is looking fine. And then now the final thing that I need to do is limit all of this so that they don't go all the way to the end. So for that, I'm going to add another media query, and I'm going to say at media, and I'm going to be targeting a mean width of, let's say, 1440 pixels, rather 1280 pixels. And for 1280 pixels, what I want to do is, I want to target the container, and I want to push everything inwards. I think this will break a bit. Let's say max width of 1200 pixels. This will break a bit, right? I knew it. It will break a bit because we're placing a maximum width on it. But let me just center it. So margin auto, which will now take it back to the center, like that. But what we need to happen actually is, we will need the purple color and this to persist all the way to the end. So I could do that actually by adding padding on the left and right. I can say padding of 0 on the top and bottom, and then let's just say 150 pixels on that, which will push it inwards. And then let's add a grid gap on this as well, because I don't want this to happen. So let's go inside where we had this display as grid template columns, increase this grid gap to 20 pixels. Too small, let's say 40 pixels. Increase the grid gap even more, and that is looking much better. But remember once again that I need to add some kind of padding on the top. Oh, did I remove the padding on the top here when I set this to 0? I set it at 30 pixels first when I was beginning, right? So 30 pixels. Okay, pushes it downwards just a bit, and would you look at that? It's looking amazing for the desktop design as well. And then finally, what we need to do is, I have just noticed that probably it doesn't really matter. Yeah, this pace is all the same. It's probably all the same. Okay, remember that this is a 1440 pixels desktop. Oh, and if this is 1440 pixels, then what I need to do is go back inside here and change this to 1440 pixels, and probably reduce this to 100. Let's see. Okay, and that's looking much better, and it's actually looking amazing. Okay, so I think that will be it for this project actually. And remember guys, I actually planned to do a live stream, but everything just went to hell with it, and I decided that I wouldn't do it today. But it happens. We expect it to happen. We just move on from it. If you really enjoy this type of content, I saw a comment a while back where someone said that they would like me to do some more front-end mentor stuff. So what I'm doing actually is, I'm starting with the easy stuff first, and most likely things that I've done before, and then I'm going to the things that they're adding gradually, the newer things, because they are hot on the market. And then once I get to the advanced things, once I finish all the easy things, or things that I consider easy, let me say it like that, then I'm going to go into the harder things, and the things that I haven't actually learned how to do, such as URL sorting. I know it might surprise you, but I actually started learning React about I can say about 6 months ago. So I don't really know everything about React, but I'm just trying. I'm learning on the go, learning by trying, and all the support that you give me is really, really helpful. So thank you very much, and thank you for watching, and remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.